Welcome back, guys. Dr. Dassani here. Today, I wanted to talk about the health risks that are associated with sleep disordered breathing, with sleep apnea in our children. And the biggest one I see is actually poor growth. When our kids aren't getting the oxygen that they need, when their brain isn't getting the oxygen that they need, growth hormone that is released in their brains when they sleep, enough of it doesn't get formed, which affects how much they grow. Having sleep apnea, the heart has to work harder to get enough oxygen to the brain, to the rest of the body, and we find that this does set our kids up for cardiac disease. In childhood, it's becoming more and more common to see kids with high blood pressure, with cardiac issues, and a lot of times we have been able to connect it, to attribute it to sleep disordered breathing, or them just not being able to get the quality of sleep that they need. It has also been connected to obesity in kids, to asthma, allergies, diabetes as well. And again, all of this comes from lack of the body being able to heal, grow, do what it needs to do while our kids are sleeping. When the brain doesn't get enough oxygen at night during sleep, when our kids are asleep, this affects how the neurotransmitters are replenished in their brains. This affects how the hormones are released and replenished within their bodies. What we see then is that the hunger and the satiety hormones, those are the ones that send a signal to the body to say, hey, you're full, you really don't need to eat anymore, or I'm hungry, let's eat. Those are out of whack. And that is when we find that our kids are usually craving all the sugary foods. They're craving all the junk food. They're craving all the unhealthy carbs because they're looking for that instant jolt of energy. They are looking to be able to get through the day. This is why we see obesity is on the rise. Add to this the fact that they're constantly tired, do not want to go out, do not want to go play, don't have the energy to participate in sports like we would want them to. All of this just connects to just lack of enough oxygen to the brain. One other thing that we do tend to see is that when the brain isn't getting enough oxygen, when they're sleeping at night, all of the toxins that build up during the day in the brains does not get cleared away. And these have been shown to be associated with Alzheimer's, and they're just starting to accumulate this in childhood. What it also does is kids that aren't getting enough sleep, the signs and symptoms of how these kids behave is the exact same as a child with ADHD. So we do see that these kids tend to have more of the symptoms of ADD, more of the symptoms of ADHD. And if their sleep isn't being evaluated, they are sometimes diagnosed as having these conditions, and more commonly we see are being put on medications for this. Now, don't get me wrong, there are times when they need them, but I always caution parents before we start our kids on these drugs, we want to make sure their sleep is evaluated. We want to make sure that they are getting the best quality of sleep. So here it is, guys. If you're a parent, if you have a child in your life, if you're a teacher, an educator, a caregiver, a grandparent, an uncle and aunt, make sure we are aware of what our kids are possibly at risk for if they're not getting enough sleep. Making sure we're evaluating that, making sure you're talking to your doctors, and yes, your dentist as well, about, is my child getting enough sleep, and is my child getting enough quality sleep? I will see you next time with more information. Talk to you later.